Alright, I'm back in London, precisely the northwest and west region of the city. Today I'll be looking at two gangs that have been warring for more than half a decade now. Rayners Lane vs 156. 156 is a combination of sets in three different areas that come together to form 156. The one being due to the UB1 postcode, which is in Southall. Southall being a large town in West London, part of the London Borough of Ealing. Now the 5 resembles the UB5 postcode, which is in Northolt, which is also a town in West London. And finally, the 6 represents Greenford, which is a large town in the UB6 postcode. Most notable member from Southall in 156 is Mad Max. In my opinion, an average rapper, but he's a no money maker and one of Southall's top scorers, along with Unks. For Northolt lies Ngang. Prominent members include T-Wiz, Nito MB, Absaf, 60, Rifty, etc. Nito MB being one of the first UK drill rappers to have a viral hit in Rising Time. He is lyrically supreme and arguably has the best flow in drill. Finally, Greenford is spearheaded by Workrate, who is their best rapper and one of the best in 156 in general. Other Greenford members include Big S, Ads, Nino and SB. 156 also be CGM, Hayes, West Drayton. Their allies are Shepherd Bush, Goldbone, HRB and Active Gang. Now Rayners Lane is a district in the London Borough of Harrow in the northwest region. Rayners Lane aka Real Lives have been active for at least 10 years and are mainly based on their Rayners Lane estate, but are also active in other parts of South Harrow, including the Kings Road area. Notable members include T-Rose, Jojo, Breezo, Big K, etc. They are allied with CGM, Roadstone, West Drayton and Hayes. Let me tell you this, everything you've heard about the origin of this beef between 156 and Rayners Lane has been nothing but lies and pure speculation. The truth is, a few members had issues in high school, which escalated to Ngang member Riz and Rayners Lane member Jojo having a fight at Thunder Park. Okay, before I start, I want to debunk something. On August 30, 2016, two 15-year-old Night Street gang members took a minicab to the Harrow Road area of West London, seeking retribution against rival gang members for an attack on one of their own. A group of boys were spotted, armed with zombie knife. Two youth unleashed a vicious attack where Sparko was stabbed once in the back outside of South Harrow Tube Station. A 17-year-old was also stabbed in the arm and stomach, while another youth, also aged 17, narrowly avoided injury as an attacker slashed the sleeve of his jacket. Sparko suffered massive blood loss and sadly died in hospital 3 days later. Many people claim Sparko was a Rayners Lane member or even an affiliate, but this isn't true. He merely knew a few of them as he lived in the same area. T-Wiz was the boss of Ngang and one of the most active members in 156, applying a lot of pressure to almost every op block. On the 11th of April 2017, T-Rose, along with another Rayners Lane member known as Big K, would travel to Northolt looking for ops. Armed with a zombie knife, they would spot T-Wiz and friends. Wiz and his friends were lacking, so they all ran. Rose and K chased T-Wiz into an alleyway where T-Wiz screamed for his brother to back the Ramsey, which is another way of saying get the Rambo knife. It was shortly after this when T-Rose stabbed T-Wiz in the stomach, causing his guts to fall out. One of Wiz's friends saw this, a truly gruesome scene where T-Wiz was left lying on the floor. His brother ran to the scene and saw T-Wiz. Police were called by the London Ambulance Service to Newham Close in Norfolk. It was here that they found 19-year-old victim with stab wounds in his stomach. He was taken to a North London hospital but was unfortunately pronounced dead just after 5:35 PM. The death of T-Wiz was felt by many across London. Tributes started pouring in. Even Cyrac member SR was grieving. Wiz was truly loved. Now both T-Rose and Big K were later arrested and charged with his murder. Members of Tarabi's family, who lived close to the scene, left the Old Bailey in tears after video and audio footage was played to the court. Big K and T-Rose, who were charged with carrying out the murder, well, on the 4th of October, both were cleared of his murder following a 2-week trial. Shortly before the jury returned to not guilty verdicts, jurors asked if they had to be unanimous in determining a verdict of self-defense. In relation to one defendant, after acquittals, Judge Nicholas noted very few people are prepared to help the police with murder cases. Had somebody helped the police, the outcome might have been different. Despite the fact that one of T-Wiz's friends witnessed the murder, he was a gang member, so stuck to the G code and didn't provide the witness statement. This is what ultimately allowed T-Rose and Big K to beat the case and get off on self-defense, as well as an audio of T-Wiz being heard screaming to get the Ramsey. T-Rose later relocated to a town known as Telford, which is 3 hours away from London. Now that T-Rose was free, he dropped one of the most devilish drill songs ever, titled No Lie, where he said, "My young boys roll with the ching, like you can get hit like Wiz. These niggas talk K's, I put a man in a hearse, and finally, and all the ops know what I done, I put a young man's face on the telly." Many drill fans also believe that in the music video, he's acting out the murder scene, but this is just speculation. See, the death of T-Wiz escalated the war into a bloodbath, but it also changed the UK drill scene as we know it. T-Wiz will start being mentioned a lot in rival diss songs. However, despite the fact that 1011, who are now known as CGM, had nothing to do with his death, they went on a spree of name dropping him in songs. This undoubtedly pushed their image as killers and aided Diggity's career. Some go as far as say it made him, and to be honest, I understand the sentiment, as for a short period many fools would peddle the narrative that they had something to do with his death. CGM members were invited to Westwood Studio to do a crib session. It is here where they dissed T-Wiz by saying, "T-Wiz got splashed and died, and I don't feel sorry for his mum." Due to the constant dissing and inciting of violence, CGM became the first drill group in the UK to be issued with a court order that bans them from making music without police permission. In what is described as a legally unprecedented move, members of a group called 1011 were banned from mentioning death or injury and from mentioning named postcodes in a gang context. They must also notify police within 24 hours of releasing new videos and give 48 hours warning of the date and location of any performance or recording. On the 18th of November 2017, Joe Amade, aka Jojo, with 3 others, rode through the streets of Norfolk on 2 mopeds deliberately looking for ops. They spotted an N-gang member known as Jay. Jay ran for his life after splitting up from his friends. Jojo caught up to him and stabbed him. A home security system picked up his screams as Jojo repeatedly stabbed him with a huge knife, inflicting devastating wounds. Jay sadly died from his wounds. That was now 2 members who passed away in the space of months for 156. Jojo was also on bail at the time of the killing for having a knife at the previous month and had been out of the Harrow area to care unit in East London, but he used public transport to travel back across to collect the moped and join his accomplices in the deadly ambush. Police later found an image of Jay downloaded onto his phone from social media, along with video in which he rapped about his gang activity and seeing his victim's mother crying on TV. Jay himself had been caught up in 2 incidents of street violence in the months leading up to his death, both as the victim and alleged offender. Jojo was convicted of murder by an Old Bailey while his co-defendant Khalil was cleared of any involvement. Neither of the 3 other killers have ever been arrested or charged. Judge Mark Dennis jailed Jojo to life with a minimum term of 20 years. N-Gang's very own Nito MB was releasing a few songs in 2017 that quickly gained the attention of the drill scene. His verse on Drilling featuring Mad Max was probably verse of the year. Towards the end of 2017, he dropped a Mad About Bars with Kenny Allstar that has amassed 9 million views till date. Easily a top 3 Mad About Bars ever, but it wasn't until 2018 when he would change the drill scene forever. His solo hit Rise and Tan would garner millions of views, influence a whole generation of flows, schemes and drip. Very few can match his talent. He followed up his hit a month later with a lightwork freestyle that hit 10 million views. Nito would always keep T-Wiz's name alive with his music, tributes in almost every song. He truly loved his boy, and it's one of the reasons why he stopped caring about music. He went on a long hiatus to focus on the streets. Getting back was more important for him than any musical success, which he was on the brink of. Now in 2018, 60 would travel with other 156 members and go to Rayners Lane, where he would spot Rayners Lane members Breezo, Big K and Lino. 60 would then shoot Breezo and escape on a ped. As you can see from his lanky figure, his legs were dangling as they drove off. This is what he meant about when he said, cause your leg's too long for the ped.
We know about chilling in the back of the racket, your legs too long for the ped.
Now in 2019, some in-house beef between Southall side of 156 turned into a tragedy. Sufi Osman, known as Chaos, and Samata Hiran, known as Smiley, would get into it. On the 23rd of September 2019, Chaos was found with stab injuries outside a juice bar on the Broadway Southall near junction with Saxon Road. Chaos was identified on local CCTV systems at 3:56 AM walking along the Broadway coming from the direction of Dane Road. At the same time, Smiley was outside the juice bar and appears to have noticed Chaos approaching. Smiley made his way into Saxon Road where there were others before returning to the Broadway. Smiley and Chaos came into contact with each other at the junction. They had a conversation which quickly turned into a confrontation. Sufi can be seen to have swung a blow. They fought and Smiley produced a knife and lunged towards Chaos. At this point, Chaos ran, and it was after a chase that he was overwhelmed and attacked. Officers recovered the kitchen knife, the blade of which was serrated and 21.5 centimeter in length, from an alleyway between Dane Road and Marigold Road, a short distance from where Chaos was stabbed. And on the 24th of September, a post-mortem examination was carried out by the Home Office pathologist Dr. Ashley Fegan-O, and the cause of death was given as a hemorrhage and a stab to the left side of the neck. A complete DNA profile which matched Chaos was obtained from the blade and was identified as the murder weapon. The three men were arrested, charged and convicted almost a year after the killing. Smiley was sentenced 24 years in prison. He also later switched to Hayes Gang while behind bars. Now in early 2020, two 156 members armed with guns pursued Breezo and two other Rayners Lane members who ran into Blazing Grill just before midnight looking for cover. CCTV footage captured one gunman taking aims towards the back of the shop and firing 3 shots, hitting the kebab, a waste bin and a food steamer. Blazing Grill owner Jason Das, 31 years old, said, "It was a crazy thing to do and could have easily killed my staff." Stephen and Hannah thought blanks might have been fired until they saw the state of the kebab and realised they were lucky to be alive. 2020 proved to be an active year. On June 2nd at about 9 PM, 156 members travelled to Harrow where they spotted Little Crafty, who repped SCG Wardstone. They ran him over and then proceeded to stab him. Little Crafty was rushed to hospital where he was in critical condition but later recovered. The Metropolitan Police launched a manhunt and were also searching for the vehicle thought to be involved in the attack, but it was to no avail as it hasn't been found till this day. Nito MB also recorded himself getting into a car and chasing Rayners Lane member Jay Milley. It is safe to say Jay Milley didn't want any smoke that day.
No way. Hey Jay Milley, why are you cutting, bro? Hey Jay Milley, pull up! Come on, bro, that's it. Pull up! Pull up! That's it! Hey! Hey! Pull up! Hey! Pull up! Pull up! Tell this you to pull up, man. Hey! Pull up! Hey Milley! Milley! Hey!
On the 13th of October, events occurred that will completely flip the trajectory of this war. Around 12:10 PM, T. Rose, who was staying in Telford, 156 members, in grey Skoda Karoq drove towards him before shooting him in the head 4 times. 2 ambulances, 2 paramedic officers and the Midlands Air Ambulance from Cosford with a Merit trauma doctor, critical care paramedic on board were on the scene where T. Rose was found suffering gunshot wounds. Despite the best efforts to save him, sadly T. Rose died at the scene. 6 people have been arrested on suspicion of his murder on the 13th of October and have since been bailed. T. Rose's family have also asked people to cooperate with the police investigation into his death. 3 men questioned by police are 19 and are from Norfolk, London, Bromley in London and Tipton in Sandwell. Detectives have also seized 2 more vehicles following the discovery of a burnout Skoda Karoq near Wrecking.
For some better days, my niggas love the money, but they target could press the gauge. 16 in that cell, living hell, I couldn't get away. Me and K, we held it down, we fought the crowd and we beat the case. Mommy, yeah, she struggled, had depression, should've seen her face. Thought I'd get them, yeah, she cried them tears and it would never change. Yeah, we got freedom back. Came home, ain't get no change. Mommy's on my mind, I need to give that lady everything. If daddy saw this song, I say this song will never change. I was in the field, I used to slide out, ride out every day. Niggas think they bad, they wanna kill me, that's a thing. And I ain't gotta talk, my niggas know.
They say revenge is a dish best served cold, and for 156 to have avenged T-Wiz by killing his killer, well, I'm sure you can imagine the scenes back in Norfolk after they found out. Tribute poured in for Wiz while dissing T-Rose. Digga D sent a heartfelt tribute for T-Rose and sneak dissed 156 by mocking the fact it took 156 3 years to get back, which is stupid as there's no expiry date on revenge. Digga D also got T-Rose on a pen debt as well as a ring that reads Free JoJo. Now a huge part of Digga D's success is down to T-Rose. It was his drill they rapped about that got them the street credibility by being associated with a killer. And although Digga D understood that and is grateful, other CGM members like Horrid One did the opposite and distanced themselves from T-Rose, flat out denying him to make the scoreboard look better. This is the cruel side of the streets. People will be your friend, and if you die, they'll act like you won, so it doesn't look like a loss.
Speaking, who's T-Rose?
I don't know, man.
Now you'd think that finally after avenging the murder of T-Wiz that 156 would be done for the day. Sadly that wasn't the case, and around 10 PM on the same day T-Rose was murdered, 156 members travelled to Hayes where they would spot Hayes gang members on Austin Road. Shakur Hassan aka Shaq was one of them. Shaq would then be shot in the chest on the passenger side of the car and collapse. The car would then drive off towards Cold Harbour Lane. Despite the efforts of emergency services, Shaq was pronounced dead at the scene a short time later. A 15-year-old girl was among the bystanders who tried to save his life. The Metropolitan Police said a 46-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of the murder and is currently in police custody. Two men, aged 31 and 21, were arrested in connection with the incident. They were taken to West London Police Station and subsequently released with no further action. At the time of Shaq's death, flowers, candles and balloons were left at the crime scene on Austin Road by friends and family. One card said, "R.I.P. bro, forever in my head, the kind of soul fallen, rest in peace." And another said, "Sleep tight," and a third, "Love you always." Just sad really. Solo London, a former Hayes gang rapper and now reformed man who now dedicates his life to Islam, had this to say about his friend's
even
death.
Ramadan, he rang me. I remember Ramadan, my wife was heavily pregnant, and she, heavily, and then he rang me and he was like, "I need to speak to you." And then I even said to my wife, I said, "Look, I know you're heavily pregnant, but I really need to go right now." And I would never ever leave her at that time because I'm thinking to myself, anything can happen right now. So it was literally towards the end, and I went to go see him, and then he's telling me about, wallahi, he's telling me I'm going through depression, just the life on the streets. And, I was always that person who he could go back to and speak to because he knew where I came from. Like, I was always a younger from Hayes, and he always spoke to me about how he was feeling and what he really wanted to do. And I remember telling him in Ramadan, I said, "Look, the masajis are closed, and it's right now it's locked down, but the gates of Jannah is open. Ask Allah what you want." I remember me telling him, like, ask Allah what you want. Like, turn back to Allah right now, Abdul Shakur. I'm telling him, I remember saying to him, just turn back. But he was just like, it's hard, man. It's hard, like, being in this environment. Like, he lived in the middle of Hayes Town. He lived in Red Brick. And how he died it was not even his kind of problems. Those guys in the area that was having, beef with some other areas and stuff like that. These kids nowadays, like you lot are killing each other for, like, no reason. Literally, you're killing each other for no reason. Like, it's like his games. It's like, this guy kills him from that area, he kills him from that area. Allah's going to ask each and every single one of you, even you guys that never done it, but you guys are gassing it up, giving the fuel to the people and saying, yeah, go do it. Or you even involved in terms of, like, gassing each other up. Wallahi, Allah's going to ask you, like, fear Allah.
After being heavily mocked for losing members, 156 managed to kill 2 ops in one day. What followed was a diss track after another. 2 in a day became the slogan. for the boys from Norfolk.
Gelato straight to the head. Why? Cause Rose got done his head. And Shaq got done his chest. Now it makes sense why I ran out of breath. Empty clip till nothing's left. 2 in a day with the wildest in West.
As a get back for the death of Rose, J Millie and E-Man stabbed up Greenfoot member Ads, who would survive the attack.
Okay on the 156. Might get your broke ass hit. Nigga don't slip. Young boy roll with a thing like you can end up. Where's
However, the reign of terror 156 were on didn't stop there. So what happened to Ads? They responded by gliding on Rayners Lane member E-Man. He was shot 5 times, causing him to lose his heartbeat before he was resuscitated on the scene by paramedics.
Oh my god, someone just got shot. Hey, someone just got shot, bro.
He was then left on a wheelchair. J Millie and E-Man were later arrested and charged for the attempted murder of Ads. On Friday 11th of June 2020 at 4:30 PM, 15-year-old Rayners Lane member Jalen, aka J Taps, was walking to school with his friends in Hayes when he was set upon by a 156 member Slims. Slims brandished a Rambo knife from his waist and chased J Taps. J Taps attempted to defend himself with a traffic cone but was sadly slashed in the face and stabbed in the chest. Slim then fled the scene and made his way to school but was arrested a short time later. Witnesses told officers that the suspect appeared to have been filming the attack on his phone. The Met said, but he refused to answer any questions during the interview. Mr. Nolan said the defendant attempted to justify his action by claiming self-defense, but the evidence and eyewitness accounts confirmed that he was carrying a large knife in a gloved hand, whereas Jalen was unarmed and tried to use a traffic cone to fend off his attacker. Once again, another teenager has lost his life to knife crime, and another family is grieving the loss of a child. We are determined to do whatever is necessary to crack down on the violence, but we need the help of our communities and partners to tackle this problem. Slims was convicted by a jury of manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison with an extra 3 years on license after his release. Now fast forward to 2022 in July. Rayners Lane member Skiz and others got into a Mercedes and attempted to ride out on 156. They travelled to Norfolk where they spotted the 156 member. Unfortunately for them, the script was flipped and the 156 member started shooting at the car. A 30-year-old member in the car was hit and was found with gunshot wounds at the junction of Kings Hill Avenue and Yeadon Lane in Norfolk. He was taken to hospital where his condition was reported to be non-life threatening. One eyewitness said he saw at least 9 bullet holes in the driver's window and rear door of a grey Mercedes A-Class abandoned at the scene. The eyewitness added, there were clearly numerous latex gloves, a foil sheet and what appeared to be bandages on the road by the driver's door, suggesting there were injuries. A number of shots had passed through the car and exited the passenger's window. Where they ended up is anyone's guess. Now the tables turn serious. Absav, a rapper who hails from Norfolk, finally took the get backs from the street into the music. He released a 3-part drill song that mocks all of his dead ops in the most heinous of fashion. The tipping point behind part 2, where he filmed with a skeleton resembling his ops while doing voiceovers, speaking about why their living friends aren't riding for them. I wouldn't say Absav was doing too much though, as he simply returned some of the same energy that was given to 156 when they lost friends to the streets.
T-Rose, hashtag kill confirmed. The general got put in the grave.
Even Digga D said, between me and you, I'll act the same too if you drop my nigga's killer. In other words, if one of my friends died and we ended up getting his killer, I'd as much as you have been. So many lives lost over something that started as petty as high school beef. It's been your boy Skyboy, and this concludes today's video. And as usual, I'm sending condolences to all the families of anyone they've lost. Follow me on Instagram at PagansGetGot and make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video as it goes a long way. Plenty more of these videos pending in the future.